I found out I was pregnant, I became I was so nervous. I was so scared of catching this thing because you remember how it was. Nobody knew anything. I mean, what you saw on the news, like if you get COVID, you're gonna die. It haunted me. Like, if I get COVID, what's gonna happen to my baby? The entire experience was really scary. Really, really, really scary.
When the Delta variant came, and in late summer or early fall of 2021, we started to see newspaper reports of pregnant women dying in the US and all around the globe. Most of these pregnant women were totally unvaccinated and had chosen to be unvaccinated because they didn't have enough information to feel like they could make a good decision about vaccination in pregnancy. They were afraid that the vaccine might cause harm to their fetus or their pregnancy, or they thought it would be safer to wait. At that point, we already knew how safe the vaccine was in pregnancy from scientific studies, and the public was not getting this information.
I started seeing some really viral content around pregnancy, particularly around the infertility myth, around the COVID-19 vaccine. And this was all classic misinformation techniques like decontextualization, or things that presented in a really misleading way, or things that are just completely made up and not true at all.
I was connected to the UW Center for the Informed Public, and then later to the UW Department of Communication and their master's program in communication leadership. Everything changed with that partnership.
At the beginning of COVID, we started getting asked to help a lot with the unique challenges that were coming out of that public health crisis. When vaccines became more widely available, the public information about vaccines was really there. It was less about like giving people the information about what they did and more about kind of reminding them or nudging them into just taking that action to make an appointment to get vaccinated. Then when we started this campaign with UW Medicine about vaccines for pregnant people, we kind of initially approached it the same way and just figured, okay, this is a specific audience set that we can target of people who, we know are pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, or family members of pregnant people. We'll just kind of nudge them into getting vaccines and just give them sort of reminders, which had worked really well in those past campaigns. But what we found out is that with pregnant people, they're in a very different state of decision making.
I think that the pandemic just made visible what it was invisible. That women, we are in such an incredible amount of pressure in every aspect of our lives. But when motherhood arrives, when you become pregnant, you just want to be in control of everything. Women are pretty much left on their own. Motherhood, it's a really lonely process. So you just tend to grab to every little piece of information of every someone that you think will help you or will understand you.
Public health crises like COVID are constantly changing, constantly evolving. For these campaigns, we had to do a lot of the research kind of on the fly. So we did various different kinds of like A/B testing to see this ad we're marketing on this platform in this way and a very similar ad on another platform, which one performed better. Where is the audience? What are the kind of messages that are working?
We tried to identify pregnant women on social media by targeting women in 18 to 45 age group who were likely to identify as either pregnant or expecting or like trying to get pregnant, by a lot of behavioral targeting, like their interests in maternity clothing, then their interests in infant care.
Our social media campaign drew a lot of negative responses that were promoting disinformation or misinformation. Some of those comments we hid when we could see that they were medically and scientifically inaccurate. Many of them we responded to with links to scientific articles to prove our point.
What's great about the Vax Two Lives campaign is that it's going to where the battleground is, right? You're fighting fire with fire. So ideally, in the perfect world, everyone would get like vaccine misinformation when they go in for their wellness visits, go into their doctor, talk to a healthcare professional, but sometimes that's tricky, and we just naturally, we're online all the time. What's great about this campaign is that there were very little information or very little effort in trying to, I think, widely educate the public on the benefits of vaccinating during pregnancy for COVID-19. And so it's going to where the misinformation is and going to where the people are. Because where are people seeing content? It's social media, and we needed that voice there.
We felt that there was a need to get people to click to the website, since a lot of people tend to go to social media to find their information about vaccination in pregnancy. And so we wanted to lead people to our website with trusted and evidence-based information.
The content part is easy, that's my piece. And so we developed that. I used a team of medical students, and together we wrote all kinds of articles, created a small database, and this fueled creative brainstorms.
The first thing that piqued our interest is what's trending on social media at this moment, that we need to get an article out quickly to hopefully dispel that misinformation, or at least provide answers to confused people or vaccine hesitant people in particular. Some thought we put into writing the articles was creating these titles to be neutral. So they weren't obviously pro-vaccine, they weren't obviously anti-vaccine, they were neutral, more of a curiosity, 5 things you need to know. We were hoping that more vaccine hesitant people on the fence, would be more likely to click it and not perturbed by any extremism opinions coming from us, because we just wanted to get the facts.
In research, you never know what's going to work and what's not going to work. You have to be incredibly persistent and resilient and never, never give up. And that's exactly what we did with this campaign.
We built a really robust toolkit that we could just hand to any community partner, whether it's the Washington State Department of Health, to like a small regional clinic, to an influencer online who reaches a lot of pregnant people, and giving them content that they could use to basically spread the message.
And we tried so many different communication strategies, and some things worked and some things didn't. And when something actually worked, we kept going. And so in that way, over the course of several months and with a lot of student effort, we kind of arrived at some early strategies that seemed to be making inroads into the thinking of pregnant women on social media.
I participated in a study that we were like my blood and her blood drawn, and her antibodies count was really high, and it was because of the vaccines. And when they called me with the results, they were like, "Oh, your baby's incredible. She's in really good health, and she has antibodies. She has a lot of antibodies to fight any possible infection from COVID." So it was. I mean, I had the proof, that it was the best choice. Yeah.
The COVID-19 pandemic keeps shifting. We'll have new vaccines on the horizon. We need to continue to promote the message about what vaccination in pregnancy does, how it protects the mother, how it passes antibodies to the infants, how multiple vaccinations are very beneficial for the infant, and to do that in a culturally respectful and appropriate way in multiple languages to pregnant women both in the US and around the world.